Hi guys, I'm Laura Vitale. On this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I'm going to show you how I like to make chicken and waffles. Chicken and waffles is such a fun combination. It is literally a deliciously fluffy, amazing waffle topped with some fried chicken. There is just like nothing better than when you're craving something really indulgent than chicken and waffles, and Joe loves this. I love this, and I'm going to show you how to make it. I'm going to start with the chicken portion first because we're going to brine the chicken. What I have here, this is just my basic ingredients for brining. I've got an onion, garlic, and parsley roughly chopped. I didn't even bother to peel it. Skin on, bone in, chicken thighs. You can also use drumsticks if you want to. I just think thighs work better. Now, a lot of times I like to use boneless, skinless chicken thighs, but when it comes to fried chicken, you get so much flavor and delicious crunchiness from the skin and the bones that I like to just keep it in. Now, when it comes to fried chicken, I like to do a brine. It's either a buttermilk brine, which I've shared with you here before if you have watched my classic fried chicken recipe, or it's a salt brine. So what this does is it keeps the chicken incredibly moist. I mean, absolutely ridiculously moist. I'm going to do a very basic brine today simply because I don't want to take away from the flavor of the waffle and just the crispiness and juiciness of chicken. I don't want it to be too intensely flavored. So here's what you need. You need some water. To the water, I'm going to add kosher salt. Now, because I'm not grilling this, I really don't need to add any sugar. I'm just going to add I'm going to add just a little bit because I like the balance between the salt and the sugar. But usually, sugar is added to a brine if you are roasting or grilling because it gives you a really beautiful color because it kind of like helps caramelize the outside of your meat of choice. But I'm going to add just a little bit just to give a bit of balance with the salt. Important that you use kosher salt. Very, very important. Lots and lots of water. And then for seasoning, for flavoring, onion, garlic, and parsley are my go-tos. I sometimes like to do chili. You can also use maple syrup instead of granulated sugar. I mean, really, the possibilities are endless. And I'm going to just add my chicken thighs. You can see these are absolutely gorgeous and they're really huge portions. If I were making a really big batch of brine for either a turkey or something like that, then I would start by melting the salt first, but I'm not going to do that today because it's not really necessary at all because this is going to sit in here for quite a while, so it's going to do its job really nicely. Now, all you need to do is cover this. I have it in a pan because it fits the amount of water I need. I need a liter of water and it fits it in here perfectly. So I'm going to just put the lid on. We'll cover your bowl or whatever you're using to brine your chicken. And I'm just going to pop it in the fridge for about 4 hours. Really best if you can leave it overnight in the fridge. I mean, you really get the most incredible, flavorful chicken, juiciest chicken you've ever had in your life. But about 4 hours is the minimum. So I'm just going to pop this into the fridge, and I'll see you in a little bit. All right, so my chicken has been in the fridge for several hours. I just took the lid off and like instantly got hit with the onion and garlic smell. It's incredible how much that flavor really kind of infuses the chicken as it just sits. It's fabulous, and I'm telling you, it's gonna be the best fried chicken ever. Okay, to coat the fried chicken, I keep it very simple. I like all-purpose flour. I have seasoned salt and cayenne pepper. I like the heat from cayenne pepper because we're gonna be serving these with waffles, which waffles are sweet, so I wanna kind of give it something spicy. Plus, I like to also eat it with hot sauce on top and maple syrup on the waffle. I know I sound crazy and ridiculous. You don't have to eat it that way. It's just how I like it. I've got my oven preheated to 375. What I have here is a large cast iron skillet. Now, when it comes to fried chicken, I'm a big believer in cast iron. And I've got it preheating with some vegetable oil. And what I'm going to do, and I also have a rack here, a cooling rack over top of a baking sheet. You take each piece of chicken. You kind of just dry it off a little bit, not much, on some paper towel. And then you take it and you just do it like so, okay? Just once on both sides. Let that sit. Let that sit. I'm going to do all 3 of them. I'm going to let them rest for 5 minutes. Then I'm going to dip them again in flour because I want a double coating of that flour. But I'll show you when I do it the second time. For now, I'm just going to take each one, kind of just quickly dry all the excess water, and then that flour, that seasoned flour, and then I'm going to let them rest. So after a few minutes, you can see that the chicken starts to really absorb the flour. That's why I dipped them twice. See that? Because that really ensures a beautifully crispy, delicious fried chicken. And I'm so excited. Now you might be wondering why I have the oven on if we're doing fried chicken. That is because I start my chicken in a cast iron, but I finish cooking all the way through in the oven because these are such big pieces and they're so thick and they're bone-in that what happens is if you try to cook them the entire way through in the cast iron, what can happen is the outside can burn before the inside's fully cooked through. So I don't like to risk it. So my method of starting it on the stove top and getting it really beautifully crisp and then finishing it in the oven works out perfectly every single time. Now I'm just going to do one more. This is my last one. And then I'm going to let them just rest for a couple of minutes while my oil keeps coming up to temperature. And then we'll start dipping and frying. Well, throwing in the oil really. And frying. I'm just going to clean up a little bit because as you can see, I'm a mess maker. Add your chicken skin side down. Sure your hot oil. Okay. And now those need to cook for several minutes on each side or until they become really beautiful golden brown all around. In the meantime, we're going to gather all of the ingredients to make the batter for our waffles. All right, while the chicken's frying, we're going to start prepping our batter for the waffles. What you need for the waffles, you need all-purpose flour, sugar, salt, baking soda, and baking powder, melted butter, 2 eggs that I've separated, and some buttermilk along with a little bit of vanilla extract. First thing I'm going to do, and I'm just doing this by hand, I'm going to whip the egg whites. I'm going to whisk the egg whites until they get nice and frothy. I'll show you what they look like when they're there. You can use a handheld electric whisk. In the meantime, I'm also going to flip my chicken because it's a beautiful golden brown color on one side. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip it. All right, those look great. Let's move on because the batter really takes no time at all. This is not a yeasted batter. I have tried this recipe with yeasted, yeasted waffle batter. I didn't care for it as much because I just felt like the yeast flavor was coming through too much, and I didn't want that. But if you want a yeast batter, by all means, make my Belgian waffle batter. It's perfect every time. Pretty much adding all the wet ingredients: egg yolks, butter, a little splash of vanilla. And then I'm just going to take a fork and just whisk that. It doesn't have to be perfect because we are just going to add this to the dry ingredients. Just give the dry ingredients a little whiskeroo. Then add the buttermilk mixture. These are going to be just those gloriously beautiful golden waffles that are slightly crisp on the outside, but really lovely and soft and airy on the inside. I mean, nothing better than that. You just want to mix this. You want to whisk it long enough so that you no longer see any flour, but not so much that you start to develop the gluten in that flour and then you have really tough waffles. That is perfect. And then the last step, you just fold in your egg whites. It looks like a labor, it's a pretty labor-intensive recipe in terms of you gotta just keep an eye on the chicken, but watch what happens. Once your waffle batter is made, which you can make while the chicken is frying, now I'm gonna set this aside. All right, I'm gonna set my batter aside. I don't need to do anything else to that. I'm gonna take the chicken, I'm gonna get it out, I'm gonna turn this off. What I have here is a baking sheet with a wire rack on top that can go into the oven. I'm gonna take my chicken, put it on my wire rack, and then pop it into the oven for about 15 minutes. And in the meantime, we make waffles. That's it. All right, my waffle batter is perfect. My waffle maker is preheated. Now, when I posted a photo on Instagram, I had so many people ask for what kind of waffle maker this is. So what I'll do is on my website, if you just go to the shop section of my website, a lot of the stuff that I use is linked there, and I will link this waffle iron there because it is the best waffle iron I have ever used, and it's my favorite because it makes those big, beautiful waffles. So let's get started. Now, you can grease it with a little bit of nonstick spray. If yours is really well worn, you probably don't even need it. makes 4 gigantic waffles, this batter. So I'm just going to put about a ladle full or so in here. Close the lid, rotate it, leave it for 90 seconds, and I'm going to turn it back around and just let it cook until that light turns green, and I will show you what the waffles look like when they're done. And what I like to do is I like to place them as they come out on a wire rack. I use a lot of wire racks over baking sheets because that way they're not sitting and steaming and the bottom doesn't get soggy. It kind of stays a beautiful crisp, you know, that beautiful texture. So I'm going to just make my waffles, and then by the time all my waffles are done, the chicken will be done, then we serve. All right, last waffle, which happens to be mine, is done. It is, I mean, look at this. Come on, look at the gorgeousness. Fried chicken is out of the oven. Place it right on top. Now, what I like is this. This is maple syrup with just a little touch of sriracha. It is sweet, it is spicy, and it is everything. You can serve it on the side if you want to, but it is so good. I do want to give you a piece of advice though. You want to make the waffles as you're serving them. Don't make a bunch and then set them aside because they will soften. But what you can do is you can place them on a wire rack and throw them in a 200-degree oven Fahrenheit, and that keeps them crispy. So, tip of the day. Let's try the waffle first. Hot though. That is delightful. My chicken, that's fully cooked. I can't really show you the inside because it's kind of hard to do considering there's a bone in there, you know. But you know what I'm saying. You got the crispiness. You know it's juicy because we had it brining. Now, together. And I hope that you can hear the crispiness as I eat this. Ha. Oh yeah. I'm about that life. Listen. Don't make this every week. This is a once in a while. If you want to splurge, if you want to go to your favorite brunch place and get chicken and waffles, but you don't feel like putting on real clothes, which is me 99.99% of the time. If it requires me to change out of sweatpants, chances are it's not going to happen. So bring your favorite brunch item to your casa, invite some friends over, get them making the waffles while you fry some chicken, and I'm telling you, it is just, I mean, why? It's delicious, it's inexpensive to make for a crowd, and it is a hit every time. Go to laurainthekitchen.com, get the recipe. I hope you enjoy spending time with me. I'll see you next time. Bye.